Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hearthstone. So, the Steam Summer Sale is going on right now, and that's mostly what I'm thinking about, but I certainly can't also ignore the fact that the Britain leaving the European Union Brexit vote has passed with 1 million more votes to leave, although that really left it at only a couple percentage points. Already I saw somebody trying to campaign here. We need to do 5 tavern brawls with the priest, I guess, would be the right thing to do. Trying to campaign saying because it only won by like 58%, it needed to get 60%. And I mean, sure, you could make that argument every time, and then if it passed by 60% the next time, which it more than likely I would guess would, because then people would be just mad at people playing tricks and not following the majority democratic vote. Pick the first 7 cards of your deck and we'll fill in the rest with unstable portals. You get portals after your mulligan. Interesting. So 7 cards is all we're going to have, and then just unstable portals. What 7 cards? That was 2 right there. Ooh. Let's see. Yeah, that's not great. That's not a great system right there. I think we need at least Holy Nova. Ooh, this is... It almost needs to be spell cards only. Well, I guess that's gonna be my deck. Weird. And I gotta win 5 tavern brawls on this to get this. So I do, as I imagine everybody, have a slight opinion on this. Apparently a lot of people right now are surprised it passed, which it was close. I mean, it was certainly possible it could have gone the other way. But people seem surprised that it could have passed at all, and I'm like, yeah, it could have, and it did. So that's a little weird too. But as a United Statesian, I think in the long term, Britain leaving the European Union is going to be good for us. And it probably is going to be good for Britain too. But I think it inherently is going to be good for the United States, even though President Obama was telling them not to, and that that there might be
2 euros enter, 1 euro leaves.
There would be less focus as far as negotiating for us. Now, I heard the argument saying, well, now when the United States wants to influence the European Union, our best ally, Britain, won't be in the European Union, so we won't have any influence there. Arguably, the United States probably has never really had much influence on the European Union anyways, but trying to do this horrible TPP stuff in the background, which is garbage and shouldn't happen, but probably will get passed, knowing politicians.
Ready to rumble!
So maybe we'll get lucky and the Brexit vote has derailed that. I guess I have to play this.
I don't have enough mana.
Oh yeah, that says 6, not 0. So yeah, I guess we lose some influence there. Right now the markets are going crazy. stocks are going crazy. Of course, if you try to time the market on anything, if you sold at a loss now, you'd be locking in those losses. So the best thing to do is just ride it out until they stabilize. The only way you could have profited from something like this is if you had bought low, sold high in global funds, and now are going to buy low again and get some increased amount of share in those funds, as long as those funds don't completely
there is a lot at stake
collapse
here.
in value,
Ready
just
to rumble!
get delisted, you're perfectly fine. As long as your stocks, the stocks that are in a fund don't get delisted, then you're fine. You can hold on to it forever. I think in a lot of ways it's kind of like if you're, I wouldn't want to say that the European Union was a terrible relationship for Britain, but it wasn't a great one. And now, as in the United States, we're being silent here going, yeah, I've wanted you to break up with that girl for years, but I couldn't say anything about it, and I still can't say anything about it because you might get back together with them, and then I'll be the jerk. But I can tell you straight up, I think what this will do is help America and Britain's connection really well. And it's not going to influence America, the United States. I'm saying America, I mean the United States. It's not going to influence the United States to leave any organizations that it's a group of, because the only organization that I know we're a group of is NATO, and we pretty much run it. So it would be really silly for us to exit NATO for that, or just to be copycats of Britain. If Britain, UK, yeah, it's the UK. Britain and the United Kingdom and all that is weird. So they all mean slightly different things. I guess the United Kingdom doesn't include Australia. I guess it doesn't. Otherwise, I guess Australia is leaving. Maybe was Australia part of the European Union? Now, for Britain, now they have to renegotiate practically every single treaty they had with every European country. What once was this open market where trade was just established with very little tariffs and stuff, Britain can now go back and say, no, we want to be protectionist to our country. We want to have tariffs. We want these industries to sell it. So British cars, for example, probably gonna cost more if you're a European, if you wanted to buy a British car. Whereas German cars, if you're a Britner, is that the term? Are probably gonna cost more to import. So exports will get Britain more money, and they will tax any imports more, so to build up the British automobile industry, which is probably something that is likely going to happen. In theory, that gives more jobs to Britons, and it keeps more money in Britain, and it hurts all the rest of the European Union, which might just be the first domino in which the whole thing collapses. And now this is just me, from my perspective, which I could be totally wrong, and it really doesn't even affect the United States even that much. It's like, at most, my retirement account was kind of low before. I looked at it just coincidentally a little bit before any of this was taking part. It's been kind of low since like the France shootings. there's been a lot of uncertainty. Then the French shootings in a lot of ways probably helped encourage the Brexit vote going the way it did. That is one of their major talking points is they want to see, was that a good play of cards? I don't even know. I'll just have to try again. Britain wants to be in control of their own immigration. In the European Union, all of that was just getting settled. So in theory, you could be a refugee going in someplace far on the east of Europe into like Ukraine and just get pushed as a refugee without having any passports or anything all the way to the west side, all the way into Britain. And that's what they were afraid of a lot of, is that people could either be a refugee or they could get a passport just some other way and passport into like Ukraine, and the only thing protecting Britain's security is Ukraine's security. It's like, no, that's not something that they should want to do, at least in my mind. And the people that voted for leave, hopefully they thought that through. And a lot of it I heard was just they wanted to weaken the Prime Minister because they didn't like him, and while that is certainly one way to weaken the Prime Minister, he's almost certainly out. Prime Minister tried to play this vote as a way to renegotiate with the European Union and get better deals, and the European Union didn't budge at all, and now they're just saying, now you have to leave as soon as possible. And it's like, okay, well, you know, it's a better response than what could have been. It could have been complete and total World War III. When the South and the United States voted to leave the Union, we told them, no, you can't do that. And and the Civil War happened. I don't want to say the North started it, but
hey, lights out.
So the fact that they're just saying fine, good riddance is at least the beginning of something here. I don't think this is a short-term path towards like Britain becoming a state.
Job's done.
Although it might be a very long-term step towards it. If Britain wanted to lose its own sovereignty and become the 51st state of America, that might happen in 50-60 years if this is this big first step to growing quite a stronger condition, stronger commitment and friendship between the two countries, which has already been strong. If you look at it from the United States procedure, the last thing we wanted to do militarily that we really wanted support was the Iraq War. And we had the coalition of the willing, and Britain was most definitely one of those willing countries, whereas the European Union I don't think was that willing to help. Now, of course, almost certainly everybody would agree nowadays that that was a pointless war and a mistake, but in the end we wanted to do something and we got no support from the other people, and we did get support from Britain, and that's not going to just be forgotten.
Job's done.
So that really is a big point where it's like, we're not, as the United States, we're not going to forget the UK, we're not going to forget Britain. I think we're going to strengthen our tradings with them. I think the United States would be greatly wise to say, all right, we're going to be better business partners with you. All that tariffs and stuff that the European Union will probably try to impose on Britain, now, just try in an attempt to screw them over, we'll say we'll eat that and we'll take all the business. And we would love British citizens to come work in America.
Do you know the secret
I don't know if we're gonna go that far, but I think we'd much rather British citizens come work in America because we know they won't, because they wouldn't get that free health care, they wouldn't get any of that. But we would probably love it more than we would like Mexicans to come in America, or at least a large percentage of the racist populace would say that. So I mean, I don't know how to say that any other different ways. If we have to pick, we would much rather the white pasty UK people versus the brown people. That is an awful sentiment, but it's really probably the truth. But more than likely what we would do is we just import it. Our car industry, to get back to automobile, has not been strong in a long time. If we start importing British cars a little bit more, that might help us for cheaper. That might help our automobile industry a little bit.
Or die, or both.
So, yeah. A lot still to be seen. A weaker pound of their currency is good for the US dollar, because that's exactly how it's compared to. So, on top of all the other issues, we should keep in mind that we kind of, as Americans, want that dollar to be stronger against the pound. So we would love for the UK to be our weak best friend that we can kind of take advantage of, or at the very least not have to compete with. And we don't want competition with the European Union economically. If we could have the European Union as the United States, or if we could have the European Union collapse into all the separate countries, and they're all competing against each other, and Russia and China all collapse and are not big economic partners, which those things wouldn't be that related, that would be great. We would love if the United States was the only first world country and every other country was in poverty. And then we would just ever so sneakily and graciously start purchasing and annexing parts of the countries that could be stable and could add something to us for cheap, versus having to have competition. So we'd love if the game was rigged for us, or if the game just turns out in our factions. Other thing in world news, North Korea launched missiles. North Korea is really disconcerting, and so in the face of the Brexit thing, we kinda need a coalition of the willing to go and invade North Korea and liberate it. It's gonna be as big a mess as Iraq, and there's no oil there. True, but we can't do anything else. It's a mad dictatorship, and we need to go just invade it and hand it all to South Korea and have troops on the ground so that we can slowly educate and integrate all the refugees from that entire country, because almost every single citizen is effectively a refugee in North Korea. So we gotta integrate them into South Korea. So it's gonna be massive, big projects. It would be much better if instead we could just if China would attack them, that would be much better. But that's less likely from actually happening.
Feel my pain.
Let's see, am I gonna lose here? If China took annexed North Korea, doesn't have really any problems with violating human rights. It doesn't have. It just wants to maintain control. Yes, China doesn't want the refugees flowing into their country too, but it would be a drop in the bucket of all their other problems. Do we really, particularly as Americans, want China to have more land and more control and be right on the border of South Korea? No. But if they fight that war for us, I feel like it'd probably be worth it.
The damned stand ready.
Job's done.
So we're going rather political here. I usually don't talk about these things because I have a video game, but I felt like talking about them. We will see. Fortunately, I have no political influence, so as most people do, so all I have to do at most is vote on anything I can vote on, and that's my amount of influence. I could call local representatives, state representatives, county cities representatives, congressmen. You can certainly call them and try to talk to them, but I don't think that's going to have a big influence. Not anywhere near having money and donating to their campaign with influence. So all I have to do is wait and see. Speaking of wait and see, as we get off politics and world news, the Steam Summer Sale is going on. Now, so far, I have been disappointed by the Steam Summer Sale in the percentages that things are off. Things like Rise of the Tomb Raider is still $30, and at that price, since I'm giving myself I have a $300 budget, like spending Rise of the Tomb Raider is $33, 11% basically of my entire budget on one game does not seem great. Some games seem like they never go below a certain percentage down, and I imagine this is simply because there is actually a just programmed level when you input your game to Steam that you set, and unless you go back and change it, Steam just is not allowed to go down a certain percentage. So you certain games that go half off, and you have like something that's $5 go down to $2.50. Usually when that game is $5 and it goes down to $2.50, the actual value I would put on that game is somewhere around $1. So you're still paying about a $1.50 more than I would personally think it's worth. There's a lot of point-and-click adventure games coming up. I need to be careful not to get too many of those because I have a decent amount of those already. I don't want to end up having 2 years worth of collection of those. Point-and-click adventure games in particular don't have a tendency to be super short anyways. Like hidden object games, all of which seem a little too expensive. Some of the hidden object games that I just know look like some of the bad ones I've played before are $5. And I'm like, no. This should be on sale for 99 cents. Now, that being said, a lot of the 99 cents or less games that were on my wish list that are in my cart right now, which my cart has 111 items and is a little bit over $770. So, over twice the amount of what I should spend. Let's play this. Destroy all enemy secrets, gain +1 for that each row. After you play Battlecry minion, deal 2 damage to a random So we need to kill this guy. This is gonna die. I think. Didn't it have an effect on it? I thought he put an effect on one of my cards. Interesting, I guess he didn't. So, one game that's on the list that's not really on the list is the South Park game. I do still want to do things that sequels are coming out for, so it makes sense in a lot of ways to continue down that path and do South Park. Truth, it's on sale. It's probably about 50% off, so it's still gonna be kind of expensive. All the games that I want to play are kind of expensive. Like I could get Doom for $30, and so 50% off there. But do I even want to play Doom? I really don't think I do. I don't think I'll be that good at it. Plus, there's so many other shooters still on the list. A little bit of a struggle trying to find some AAA titles. Make sure that list stays up and filled. Probably not as much as. Wanted to do this battle cry just so it did 2 damage to hopefully this guy. Ah, darn it. Well, let's go ahead and kill this guy then. I feel like the Steam Summer Sale 2, there's no game here. It's just trading cards. So yes, I can play the trading card game and get the Steam Summer Sale trading cards, and I will. I think it messes up your card if you buy trading cards, so I'm waiting until I decide my purchase. Yeah. I've waited one day to make sure the sales don't change. Maybe I should wait all the days until like a last second thing. Probably should. The only real problem is just patience. Literally. Just I need the patience to sit here and not purchase things. Every day they're just highlighting new things, giving you new picture. There's probably some ARG hidden game in it, I'm sure, that they'll eventually find. It seems almost certain that there is, because it has like one of the trading cards says X marks the spot, which is suspicious. So I'm gonna do this and this. Do this. Play this. I'm gonna win here, almost certainly. But there's nothing else. Now going up in my user level, I guess gets me more booster packs. But at level 26, I've only gotten like 2 or 3 booster packs. And I don't know if that's because you have to play the games that you would get the booster packs in. So, like, if I wanted more booster packs in the Talos Principle, I'd have to play the Talos Principle more. Or if it's just you have to play in general. If it's you have to play in general, I should be winning more booster packs, certainly. Because I almost always have time clickers running. Time clickers, by the way, it's nowhere near to being done, but it's starting to feel like maybe we're getting close to it being done. Just because, like,
versus
all I
Jaina.
need on time clickers
You
is
asked for
more
it.
cubes
The light shall
to
bring
get
victory.
more currency per cube and do more damage per cube. There's right now I'm never getting enough cubes. I'm getting about 220,000 each time. Every upgrade besides increasing damage or increasing the amount of gold you get per each of that is way above that. It's like 1,500,000. Even I've got all the currency ones up to 150,000, so that means I can get like one small percentage nudge
Someday
there.
I'll be just like you.
And then the damage is like at 50,000, so I can get about 4 small percentage nudges up there. So it feels like I could easily make the argument that I'm done with it if I cared, but I'll just keep playing it forever. The other clicker games, not really doing anything there. I could get DLC on some of those and get the achievements if I cared, but not really. I tried to get the achievements on Limbo because Limbo was free on the Steam one, and like one of them is die less than 5 times, and I was like, okay, that's never gonna happen. So forget that. So I bet playing mage with this guy is probably really helpful when you know you're gonna get unstable portal all the time. Shadow Fiend is in similar points. Alright. Can I do this? I don't think now would be the right time. Well, actually, I guess I have no
In the
choice.
light's name.
As far as expansion and new styles of games, one of the things I'm trying to do on the Steam sales, what I'm thinking about is more story-based things and more weird things. It also is filling in this feeling that there are a lot of games that were on consoles that just aren't here. And there are some games that are on Uplay that aren't on Steam at all, I think too. Like I'm gonna have to get the next 2 Assassin's Creed games are gonna go through Steam to Uplay, which sucks. And I'll definitely, almost certainly get that. 2 Assassin's Creed games are what I'm trying to hit for as I catch up. The Lego games are an issue because the next one, like I could get Lego Jurassic World 5. It would just be a couple dollars more expensive, but I'm wondering, should I just go ahead and get Lego Marvel Avengers for like $20, and should I pay the full like $35 for Lego The Force Unleashed? Deal 8 damage to all minions. Let's do this. So yeah, that's definitely a thought. Is like, do I just finish the Lego series and then I don't have to worry about buying another Lego game until the next one comes out, which might be it forever? Or do I move on to something else? I think I might move on to something else. To buy the Humongous Bundle, which is even younger kid games, like Humongous games are point-click adventure games for little kids that are sometimes a little too frustrating and a little too complicated, or can often be. I haven't played a lot of them, but I suspect often they can be.
Embrace the void.
So but I can get a ton of those, and that would give me more kids games to maintain the kids time slot, even though that's crazy and I didn't ever want to really have that time slot anyways.
In the grand
After that, I can't imagine there are that many more kids games to do. And we might end up having like 2 point and click adventure time slots after that too. I've seen a lot of point and click adventure games because Steam has pegged me on that. Speaking of being pegged on something, for some weird reason YouTube has been giving me quite a lot of ads that are like cooking shows. I'm like, what did I do to convince them that I like cooking shows? Because I don't hate them. I'm just interested as to what was the turn there where they stopped showing me like video game stuff and instead started showing me
Feel my
cooking
pain.
stuff. Oh, I could have won right then. All I would have had to do is heal them with this one enabled. Oops. So yeah, they've shown me a lot of point and click adventure games, and I want to expand. I want more adventures. I want more platformers. I want more things like that. Some of the platformers, most of the platformers look really bad. But
I wonder.
I mean, you're never really gonna capture Mario Brothers. That's the problem. Speaking of Nintendo for a short second, Call of the Wild has this like cooking system, and you don't get hearts anymore, and it has a stamina system that you need to climb and run and things, and it has a clothing system that you need to be warm in cold areas and cool in warm areas. It really, and it's open world too. It's like, this is getting really far away from what we know as Zelda. Which, I mean, frankly, The Legend of Zelda for the NES versus what we know as Zelda today is very far away too. So I think you could probably put Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf inevitably in any style of game, and it'll be familiar enough to everyone. But I am slightly concerned that I could have destroyed any secrets. No, that's not what that does. Here we go. So, I'm a little worried for Nintendo for that, but not too much. Did I mention the Bayonetta creator wants to make Bayonetta 3? That's much more exciting to me than any of the Nintendo stuff. One of the games on the Steam in my cart is Axiom Verge, which is a Metroidvania game. I'm certainly interested in doing some Metroidvania games. I didn't even really play Super Metroid or Metroid, so. But I did Metroid Prime, and I certainly like that. But that's a 3D version of that. There's this new game that's gonna come out called Headliners, or I think that's Metroidvania, and it looks kind of cool. But that'll be out, won't be out for a while. I want to get Day of the Tentacle remastered, which is probably it adds some more problem. It's like I'm gonna play all the good games, point and click adventure games that are like historically proven to be fan favorites, and then I'm gonna be left with so many like also rans on Steam. It's just gonna be like, here's more of this, here's more of this. I'm also considering visual novels. I was gonna get Clannad, but here's what I've thought. I don't think I can do the reading. So, like Clannad, if I can pronounce it right, is probably the best pick you could do if you're gonna do a visual novel, and just do just the top and the best. of them. But if it's only voiced in Japanese and then subtitled in English, I can't really cover it, can I? That's too much. It's way, way too much on a visual novel for me to sit there and read the whole time. I can't figure out in my mind, and let me know in the comments if you have any idea how this would work, where I could play the game, sit there, and just let the people watching read without me reading aloud. I don't see how that works. The text would be really small on a lot of people's screens, and so it would be really difficult to pull that off. This will be our last game for this recording, so we'll go into a second recording, which is alright. I still have some small amount of work to do. My back has started hurting again, which is not good. And that plus the Steam Summer Sale is encouraging me to not really record. I should record some more today and just think about the Summer Sale. I have until July 4th, they say, until the sales go around. Now, some prices did change in one day to the other. So I'm not sure if it's not sneakily actually changing the prices on some things. Either lowering them or raising them. Something changed. Seems like some bundles are also just missing, or I've gotten them all at this point. I specifically want to try to get bundles because there's more there. Like I can get the Telltale bundle again, and it's the extra savings for getting Minecraft Story Mode and The Walking Dead Michonne. So that I would get 3 games in a bundle that has like 48 games because I have all the other things I've already purchased. The Telltale bundle, they just added more to that same bundle. And now that Steam is more open about completing collections that way and giving that extra discount, it's still a good deal. So every year I may just purchase the Telltale bundle again and again and again, in hopes of, let's see,
In the light's name.
and then this,
In the light's name.
and then this, and I wish that one had been. Let's see what happens here.
Job's done.
Oh, noble sacrifice, good. If that was explosive trap, it would have been a problem. But I can play like this next turn. Well, still a problem.
I see.
I could see Litho being an issue.
Embrace the void.
Goblins and ghosts.
Job's done.
I probably should have healed this guy, then played this. Come to think of it. If this guy chooses not to attack, I can attack with these two also, and then heal this guy. So yeah, But to get back to visual novels, I need fully voiced visual novels. So if you have any suggestions there of good visual novels, I don't care if it's if it's a romance novel. I don't care if it's a romance novel with guy on guy. I don't care if it's a romance novel girl on girl. I don't care if it's had a full boyfriend and it's pigeon on pigeon. That particularly doesn't bother me in any case on any of those. But I certainly
Feel my pain.
do want it to be good. I want something interesting and good in that. Oh, see, now I can't play that one without doing
Goblins and gnomes.
so. Any suggestions there, as long as it's fully voiced. That's the number one thing. It's gotta have that. And that's only specifically for visual novels. Other games, the main gameplay isn't the conversation. So I'm not, it's not that I'm intentionally being picky here. It's that the main gameplay element in visual novels is the communication, and so I need that. I need that to be voiced. I can't sit here and talk and read aloud. It would be so boring. It would sound so awful. I suppose I could get more builder games like Rust, things like Minecraft. Plenty of those have come and gone. I'm not sure any of them are interesting. You can now customize your suggestions in your discovery queue, and I've turned off all software on all unfinished products and like, what was the other one? Pre-orders things. It's like, I will wishlist an unfinished product. I will wishlist something that's pre-order, but I don't want those actually in my inventory. I don't want to get confused by those. I don't want to accidentally buy something that's early access. I feel like almost all these early access games are put a one cost minion from each deck into the battlefield. Well, that didn't work because neither one of us have any one cost minions. Yeah, I just there's a big problem too with the early access stuff. It's like by the time the game is ready to go, Darkest Dungeon's a good example of this. Darkest Dungeon's a really expensive game, even being 50% off here. It's been in early access. It's had its time in the sun. As a YouTuber, I'm almost certainly going to end up playing all these half-finished games. Dead by Daylight's another thing. They're putting out a small patch for that, I think, right about now too. Charge. This one's gotta go. What's this one do? Whenever your hero takes damage, this menu takes it instead. Alright, cool.
Job's done.
That works fine by me. So, like, personally for my channel, the one that's gotten me there is, well, two of them.
I can take the hit.
Knocked, I knew was in early access, and I played it, and I'm like, well, this is a good start, but I can't really criticize it too much since it's just a start. And in Demons, no, the game is called Face It, a game about facing your demons or something like that, and that was early access, and it needs more polish too. I mean, inherently that's what I'm gonna say on any early access game, is I'm just gonna say this needs more polish, this may be a decent start. It's like, there's really nothing else I could say. How am I gonna win here? I'm not. I'm gonna lose.
Job done.
But so yeah, I don't want to cover early access games. Even things like Kerbal Space Program, which is still early access, even though it says it's not,
Reporting
are
for
not
duty.
fun. I still kind of maintain that Kerbal Space Program's not a finished product and not a fun product. How it's presenting things to you and how it's asking you to play. So, yeah, that's an issue. Somebody on one of my things said they wanted to see the tutorial for like 1.1 on Kerbal Space Program. I'm like, maybe, but probably not. Not anytime soon. Be a lot closer to 1.2 if I'm gonna cover anything. I'm not 1.2, but 2.0.
Next.
That would be a more realistic time frame going back to Kerbal Space Program, particularly since the main creator said he's done and moved on. Not too much ambitious. We certainly have a lot of that with like No Man's Sky, and I think one of the other ones too. It's like they're so ambitious. One of the games I'm thinking about is City Skylines. It's had its day in the sun, but it wouldn't be terrible to play it. A lot of these games I may get and just play a little bit of. Dangerously, I may shift in the wrong direction and start just building a Steam library like a lot of people do that doesn't get really played that much. There's a lot of that already. That's the case. For instance, like all the old Hitman games are really too old to play and unplayable, so I got a bunch of that. All the old Tomb Raider games are too old to really play, so I'm probably gonna play them. A lot of
Elements I like.
A lot of the old games I have
I
just no
love.
interest in. I don't have too many of
Reporting for
those,
duty.
but I don't want to grow that way. And then there is a bigger general problem with Steam, as I'm losing here. It's running out of things to suggest to me too. Right now, even after just going through 1 year of purchasing games, we are getting, I'm getting a lot of games where it's just like, it's either on your wish list. Ooh, I don't think I have him. I think I just got a new legendary. Good. That is very nice. Lord Walker Cho. A legendary I've needed for a long time. So, yeah, they're gonna. Ooh, yes, it is indeed what I needed. And you can't have two legendaries. The only shame is it wasn't a golden legendary. But whatever. What's the other one I got that's new? I must have flipped through it. Oh well. Disenchant the other extra 4 cards. And that gives us 35 dust. Yeah, they need to... Steam needs to have more good games, and they need to have a better way of suggesting things to me. I'm not getting a lot of random things either. It's not giving me sports games, which is good. It's not really giving me first-person shooters, which is kind of good. But I think as I fill up my library, they need to stop showing me things I already own. I need a toggle somewhere that says, just don't suggest me things I already own. I'm not gonna buy games for somebody else. And in fact, Counter-Strike Go, I've heard you can't even buy that and gift it right now because they don't want people to have alternate accounts for some reason. Anywho, let's look at our progress here. I'm gonna give myself a quick refresher and look at the Steam charts again. There was some other stuff I was going to talk about, but I think I've mostly forgotten it now, so I won't bring it up. We need 1 more victory here, 3 more victories here, and 3 more victories here. So 3 more priest victories on Tavern Brawl will fix everything for us. We're at 4,300, amazingly. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right will be a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.